Have you ever played Follow the Leader with a drunk army officer? That was my life before HubSpot. Chapter 1, the bus. So the journey from the capital to where I wanted to go up in the mountains to where would become eventually my hometown took about 18 hours on a good day. The way to get there was first to go to the local market, the bazaar, and find an appropriate taxi or vehicle. So you wanted to get one of those Nissan Patrols or Toyota Land Cruisers, and you wanted to pay a premium so you got that seat up front on your own. The last thing you wanted was to be sat at the back in the middle, and that's because the journey was fraught with danger on really bumpy roads. The roads weren't paved for most of the way up there, and when you looked up, you'd see the rocks that could quite easily crash down on your head. And when you looked down into the valley below, you'd see the wrecks of the vehicles that had gone before you. When you closed your eyes, you just hoped that the driver hadn't nodded off as well. So I had no idea about any of this the first time I made the journey, which is why a colleague came down from the mountains to show me the ropes, so to speak. Why he then picked a 1970s battered, beat up old green minibus is beyond me. Worse than that, we were sat at the back and I got the middle seat. Chapter 2, the bridge. Now the journey did not get off to a good start. 45 minutes in, we hit a bump and something very important fell out from the bottom of the minibus. They put that back on again, and by the time we reached the river, it was getting dark and our headlights were out. Now when I say river, I'm talking not a little trickle, but one of these ones that had come cascading down from the mountains above and then flowed down into the valley below at a rapid rate. As we approached this, it's the sort of thing you'd expect there to be a bridge over, but there was no bridge. And the only way to get across was to literally drive through the river until you got to the other side and you could continue your journey. We couldn't turn back. They knew it was there anyway, so why were we in a green minibus? Good question. Nevertheless, the driver was prepared to make a stab at it, and so he roared the engine and we plunged into the river, went down quite considerable ways, which the vehicle shook from side to side, and then quite quickly the wheels began spinning and nothing happened. We stalled and we were stuck there in the middle of the river, and I didn't begin to panic immediately until I started to see my bag float up towards my knees. Panicking is not something you'll be doing much with HubSpot. Your stories will find their framework in the dashboards within HubSpot that you use to present from. You can think of the dashboard like a story itself, where the reports are the pages or paragraphs in that story, and the data, the characters themselves. And to continue the analogy, one of the small but powerful features of HubSpot is the ability to give it chapters. Just like a story needs structure, so do your dashboards. And using the rich text fields that you can insert onto a dashboard in HubSpot, you can create those chapters or those chapter headings. Much easier to read and much easier to present your story. Chapter 3, boots. So I'm sat there with my bag floating up towards my knees. It's dark, it's cold, and I haven't got a clue what to do as we're stuck in the middle of this river. I thought to myself, well, look, these people have been here before, they live here, they know what they're doing. I'll just do what they do. So when they started rocking back and forth, I joined in. And I presume we were trying to rock the minibus out of the hole that it was stuck in. Didn't work. And so eventually, sensibly, people started to wind the windows down, they weren't electric windows, and climb out into that raging river. Everybody except for one guy. The army officer sat next to me, who happened to smell a little of alcohol. Nevertheless, I thought if there's ever someone to copy in a panicky situation like this, it'd be someone in the army, right? And so he took off his shoes, his nice military dress shoes, and put them on the seat next to him. I thought, I don't want to get my shoes wet either. That's a great idea. So I took off my shoes, my waterproof, rugged hiking boots. Instant regret. Because as I climbed out of that window and put my feet into the river, it was freezing cold. And the river bed was full of jagged rocks that started to cut my feet to pieces. So I made my way to the shore as quick as I could, managed not to get pulled over the edge of the cliff by the river, and sat down. And I realized what an awful mistake I'd made, as everybody else, except for the army officer, was still in the river trying to push that minibus out, doing the heroic thing, trying to save the vehicle, whilst I sat watching, not heroically. And to cap it all off, a little old lady walked over towards me, took the coat off of her back, and since I was a guest in her country, she wrapped it round my shoulders. Very sweet, my humiliation was complete. But at least my boots were dry. Your stories need structure too. Structure's easy when you have a CRM like HubSpot. So choose HubSpot, and next time you present from your dashboards, you won't have that sinking feeling.